Greetings again, Joe Davis from Southern New Hampshire University for Criminal Justice 104, CJ 104. Today we're going to talk about discussion question 3-1. Okay, let's take a quick look at the prompt, the actual question, what you're going to work on it. It says, consider the Chicago PD corruption video and other module resources and readings, okay? So that means you got to watch that Chicago PD, the 60 Minutes piece about their corruption where they interview Officer Herrera. Describe Herrera's justifications for his actions in relation to the cognitive rationalizations that are presented in the attached article, Focus on Ethics, Rethinking in Law Enforcement. Okay, so now you're going to watch that video and the officer is going to give you his justifications. They aren't reasons, they're justifications. Why it was okay for he and the other members of the SOS team to do the things, the illegal things, the unethical, immoral things that they did. Okay, now what you have to do is take those items, or as many as you can, or at least several, and then in the article that the lieutenant, the PhD from LA County Sheriff wrote, find the cognitive rationalizations. So in other words, you're not just going to tell me the story about what happened, you're going to tell me what happened, and then you're going to give me the academic or scholarly answer. So what factors seem to motivate or discourage the unethical behaviors? Okay, and so, and what do you consider the root cause of the behavior? All right, so the factors that seem to cause it are that most people convince themselves of the morality of their actions. Okay, so this is straight out of that article, the morality of their actions. Their assignment, their job, their mission was to keep guns and dope off the street. But what's important for us in this discussion is that's called a morality of actions. Okay, and corrupt individuals do not view themselves as corrupt. They explain their behaviors as normal. So even in one case about fabricating the reports, lying in the reports, well, you know, he wouldn't say it was just their unit that did it. He implied that everyone in the Chicago Police Department, except I think he talked about Podunk, Iowa or something. So what you want to focus on is, do you have an understanding of what morality of actions means and can demonstrate it? Okay, so what factors seem to motivate or encourage the unethical behavior? There are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 of those listed in the article. One of those is denial of victim. So you need to understand what that means, and it means that officers would argue that they violated the party, excuse me, pardon me there for a second. With this strategy, officers argue that they violated the violated party deserved to be victimized. Okay, so for an example, an officer steals cash from a suspected drug dealer during a search, and he argues that the drug dealer had no entitlement to that money. That's straight out of the video. He says they took $30,000 from a drug dealer. Okay, Herrera says that. So that would be possibly a denial of victim. The next is a denial of responsibility, and that's where the police convince themselves that they acted improperly, but because there was no other option. Nothing else could be done. America was unsafe. That could be one of the issues that he talks about. You have to listen closely and then say, aha, what he's really saying is a denial of responsibility. Because there were no other options. We had to go out there and lie in reports. We had to violate people's rights because there were no other options to keep Chicago safe. The third one is a denial of injury. And in that form of rationalization, the guilty parties convinced themselves that their actions did not harm anybody, and thus they weren't really corrupt. So an example would be an officer might feel tempted to justify stealing profits from a drug dealer because the drug dealer didn't rightfully earn the money. Okay, so you have to listen to what they say, and it could be a denial of injury. The fourth one is social weighting. When you rely on this form of explanation, corrupt police make selective social comparisons to justify their unethical conduct. So for instance, officers who falsify a police report to convict a robbery suspect might minimize their participation in the misconduct and vilify a co-worker who lies all the time in reports. Okay, so in other words, my line is more noble, a higher calling. And then finally, the moral justification. And unlike other rationalizations, moral justification not only excuses the deviant conduct, but can actually glorify such acts in the name of justice. And I think you'll see, or you saw, or you can understand, that they were rewarded, their evaluations were positive, they got recognition for doing this great job, when it would appear, based on the information we have, a lot of people knew what that special enforcement team was doing, what SOS was doing. So I hope that gives you a foot up on these for 3-1. Like I said, those that have posted did a really great job. I know you all want to just do the minimum amount and only read one and answer two others. Sometimes those really long ones, they're meaningful, and another classmate has put a lot of time and energy in to write it, and you may want to read their work too. Another part of that is this is not going to be, you will not be able to bluff your way through this discussion. I've given you the things that are in this material, match them up with the stuff in the video in the 60 minutes. You can't just bluff and write words. You've got to talk about it from an academic or scholarly point of view. And that's the way you develop your critical thinking skills. Last item up is every one of these discussions has a last paragraph where it refers to replying to your peers. So in this one it says, in your response to your peers posting to the above question, consider the factors they noted, so on and so forth. You don't answer that. That's what you write about when you read one of your peers. I hope this helps you a little bit. Keep the cards and letters coming. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help.